to recap our high-level reference architecture here again. So Incorta's got a lot of connectivity options with regards to Oracle sources. So there's Oracle ERP Cloud, eBusiness Suite, JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, Oracle NetSuite, Enterprise Performance Management System. And so Incorta serves as the data layer to ingest that data into the data foundation of Google Cloud Cortex, whereas Sam and Joe Cooper have both mentioned is a place where you can combine that Oracle data with, SAP data if you've got multiple systems, with Salesforce data, with Google proprietary data like trends and Google Ads information. We've got our marketplace data analytics hub where you've got over 2,000 private data sources that you can subscribe to, and then there's public data that Google pays to host on BigQuery that you can easily access in things like NOAA weather data or holiday data or other thing like that. And then there's industry-specific data. So all this data can combine in the Cortex Data Foundation. What we're focused on demoing today is to show you that we've connected Oracle ERP Cloud, eBusiness Suite, and NetSuite into the change data capture process layer of the Cortex Data Foundation. So in this case, Incorta is taking care of all the change data capture processing logic to make sure that the data that ends up in the CDC process layer of Cortex framework has data integrity, referential integrity, and is complete and consistent at the point that you query. And as we are building out our deployable content that you can go out to GitHub and open source, download, and deploy in an automated fashion, you can already get started today with all of this, right? And so this is what we're going to show you. You can deploy Cortex Foundation on GitHub, the content that you want, you select that. You can build additional data models as you need. There's just follow the framework. Incorta is available on the Google Cloud Marketplace. You can deploy that, deploy your Oracle data applications, configure the connection to the source, configure the destination to BigQuery. You can do this all very, very quickly within a day. And next thing you know, you've got data available in the Cortex framework. And so this is what we're going to show you with the demo. And we're going to start on the Incorta side, and Joe Miller is going to demo that, and then I will follow up with a demo with a demo on the Cortex side.
Great, thank you, Joe. I'm going to take the screen, and Joe, could you confirm you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. So as Joe mentioned, I'm going to walk you through the first half of the solution of how we would facilitate the delivery of this data into the Cortex framework. As you've heard earlier, Incorta prides itself on being the open data delivery platform, making sure that you're getting data to the destinations that you need. In this case, right, really doubling down on the context of Oracle source systems, taking the complex source systems, making sure that we can package them up in a sensible package and pass them over into a usable format into BigQuery, where you could do harmonization, augmentation, enrichment, planning, and even AI, ML, generative AI, etc. So we're going to walk you through the process of what that looks like in Incorta. And I'm going to assume for many people, it might be your first time taking a look at Incorta. So I'm just going to do a quick pan around the platform. And this demo should only take 5 or 6 minutes in total. So this is the Incorta homepage where everything is going to be landing. This is going to be your heads-up display of everything that's happening within the platform. Up here at the top, we have a navigation bar that's going to show you different components of the platform. Today, we're going to be really focused in on these first few components of the platform, as that's where a majority of the work is going to go into place. By default, we do have the ability to connect to a multitude of data sources. You can see here within the system, I'm really focused on Oracle systems. But if you also wanted to push additional data sets and improve the richness of your Cortex environment, you could connect to many different source systems, whether that be databases, data lakes, applications, etc. all of that is there for your taking. But what we found the most success in is not just connecting to a data source and dumping data into an ecosystem, right? Really approaching it in a contextual format is really where we've seen a lot of organizations have success, because cloud migrations, let's face it, it can feel like you're trying to eat the elephant a lot of times. So we take a module-based approach to make sure that people are getting the questions that they need answered in the platforms they need them answered in. So that's where I'd like to introduce you to the marketplace. The marketplace is our quick start applications that make sure that you launch into those solutions as quickly as possible. Now, you'll see a span of different data sources, a span of different destinations that we can push to. Today, we're really focused on Oracle systems like Oracle NetSuite, EBS, Infusion, or Cloud ERP, if that's what you'd like to refer it to. And we are looking at destinations of Google BigQuery. Right now, within this instance, this is a trial instance. We've got 3 modules available, ready to go. However, I will mention that any of these module packages, whether they being pushed into different systems, are available to be pushed into Google BigQuery. So you're not limited to this. If you're interested in some of the other modules that you see out there being available as part of the Cortex framework, you can interface with us as well. But as Joe mentioned, we're really driving towards a module-based approach. In this case, one of our first things that we're really digging deep into is order-to-cash analytics. So I have a sample data app here where you could dig in to Oracle EBS and order-to-cash analytics and having that loaded into BigQuery. We do know that some people have some custom configurations within systems. We like to say that most of our customers that we've worked with to date, with the expertise of Oracle that we've had in-house, there is a shared model of these source systems that really accounts for 90% of the work through just the application deployment here. You may have custom fields that we fine-tune the models to, and that's why we asked many to reach out just to make sure that we make the most of your deployment. But you'll see here the same slide that Joe mentioned of how this plays into the overall BigQuery architecture. You can take that into BigQuery and into the reporting models and into Looker and beyond. So the installation process is very simple. All you will do is provide a connection to, in this case, your EBS instance through the installation dialog once you've been unlocked. And from there, it's going to launch a series of schemas that will be ingested into your Incorta environment. So I've loaded in some Oracle EBS schemas. In this case, let's pick on some of the schemas that are a part of our order to cash, our accounts payable, for example. These are going to be all base tables that are coming from Oracle EBS in the source system. In this case, you can see how many rows, joins, columns, etc., have been ingested into Incorta. But if you want a nice topological overview, you can do this quick diagram layout to see exactly what's going on underneath the hood and how all of these tables are going to relate to each other from the source system. And this is really where I think the expertise of Incorta starts to shine through, is we really started to define what tables are going to be important, what relationships need to be in place. And you can imagine something like this, right? If you're starting from scratch, can be months in the process, which is hence the nature of this partnership, right? We want to accelerate the success of teams across the organization. Now, with the simple deployment of this particular schema, I can answer a myriad of questions, right? I can answer financial backlog questions. What are the booked orders that have not been invoiced? I could look at my fulfillment backlog, all booked orders that have not yet been shipped, open sales orders, capture cycle times, what's been shipped early, what's been shipped late, percent of orders returned or canceled. This is all embedded within our order to cash deployment. So all we need to do within Incorta is once the app has been deployed, the load will auto kick off. But I will make mention that you could either reload and ingest the data into Incorta, or you could do incremental loads. So as Joe mentioned earlier, we can do CDC processing within Incorta to make sure that we're taking deltas from the source system and simply ingesting those into Incorta to make sure that we can do those quick data refreshes, right? We have customers today who are doing refreshes every 5 or 10 minutes. So they can be very quick with the incrementals enacted. Then all we need to do is from the Incorta system, we need to set the destination to Google BigQuery. So I'm going to come back to my data destination. You can see here that I've got a couple of destinations configured. But what I've done here is all I've done is gone into my BigQuery instance and captured the project name. There is one security item I need to do. I take my service account out of Incorta and make sure that has permissions to write into my BigQuery instance in my Google console, and you're off and running. All you need to do then is come back into your schemas and really just point them to the destinations that you desire. So in this case, for my accounts payable, I can come in, configure my data destination, again, point it to the project that I want. If I want to target a schema name, which in the BigQuery vernacular is the data set, what data set I want these tables to land under, and if I want any sort of prefix with the table. From that point, anytime I execute a full load within Incorta, that data will not only be ingested into the platform, but it'll also be relayed into Google BigQuery as well. One thing to note as well is that we have added additional capabilities, knowing that the destinations, there's a lot going on within the process. So we can also just force push into destinations as well. So if at any point you have a table, one table that just had changes, you can ingest those changes and just send that to destination in itself. So with that, all I would do is execute a full load and the kickoff within Google BigQuery will begin. I'll just give you a little tease, right? I have my own internal instance of BigQuery here. You can see that my instance of BigQuery, which I ran earlier in this session, has started to load tables before I cut it off here. So this is what it's going to look like at landing. But to give you a more comprehensive full picture of what that's really going to look like, I'm going to hand it back over to Joe Darlick to showcase their example over in their environment.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, we've got a lot of Joes on this call. So I'm sharing right now. If you can see my screen, this is the Google BigQuery in our console, and you can see I've got a project set of data sets here. And these look remarkably similar to the one Joe Miller just had in his own project. So we've got data sets here for EBS, we've got data sets here for Oracle ERP, and we've got data sets here for Oracle NetSuite. And they've all been passed over here in an incremental fashion from Incorta. And if we're going to kind of drill down on order to cash, we can see we've got a whole slew of tables here that have been loaded from schemas in Incorta directly into the change data capturing layer of Cortex. And again, what this means is that all updates and inserts are merged into single records here in this table. So this is a great place to build your data models and your reporting models off of. And that is what we've done. So we built some accounts receivable models off of this and order lines data. And these are great for operational report. Very simple, based on expertise from Incorta to build these, and you can build as many reporting models as you want. What we are working towards in our partnership is to launch models that have been designed, built, have industry standard metrics, things like currency conversion and so forth embedded in them, and are deployable through our GitHub open source automated deployment. But again, there's no reason to stop there. You can always build on top of these things. Those are just kind of a starter kit to get you going. So we built, again, we built these models. These are really just views in here, and you can see the logic that we've got embedded in the views. It's standard SQL, very easy to maintain, and we've also built reports on top of that to showcase how easy it is to really visualize data through the Cortex framework. So really, if we go back here just for a moment and we say, all right, I want to query this data, and I've already put it into materialized view just to make it very, very easy. But what we can easily do is preview the data and then explore it in Looker Studio, right? And it's just one click. Looker Studio is embedded here, and you've got an instant visualization tool. You could also export it to Sheets or to Google Cloud Storage if you wanted to consume it in another way. And in Looker Studio, this is where I built these dashboards. I've got one for some EBS data, one for Cloud ERP, and one for NetSuite. Each of these dashboards took me less than 15 minutes to put together. It's really a very simple, intuitive way to kind of visualize your data. And so here we're looking at our largest orders and order quantity by where they're located on a map, so we can easily kind of select on certain things. Like our largest order from Big Mart is located in the US. So this is a very simple way to consume your data, and then it's easy to combine with other data sets in either BigQuery or in your private project, or that you subscribe to through our Analytics Hub. And that is the conclusion of my demo. Now